I went from 0 to 7 figures in 4 years, which is a good trajectory, I guess you could say.
How does someone go from spying on their teenager to a 7-figure business in just 4 years?
I actually started on Instagram to spy on my then 15-year-old daughter because that was kind of in the early days of Instagram where I could see people starting to monetize.
Meet Jenny Reimold, the content creator who turned a mom moment into $1 million career.
I think what really launched the career is I took my media kit, I sent it to...
What's an unexpected secret to your success?
I honestly think it's the...
Today, Jenny shares the exact strategies that built her business and how you can do the same, even if you're starting from zero.
Trying to emulate what other people were doing, I think is a huge trap because...
This is Jenny Reimold's 7-figure strategy. So for those who may not know who you are, can you give us like a quick background on your career and how you got to this point of being such a successful content creator?
I actually started on Instagram to spy on my then 15-year-old daughter because that was kind of in the early days of Instagram where I could see people starting to monetize. I started documenting redoing my house when we lived in Nashville. And so I would just start sharing tidbits of design and things like that. And although I'm not a professional designer, I do pretty well with design. And so I started building a small following. While I was doing that, just started tagging brands here and there. And I would tag big networks as well. Even though I was not even in that space yet, I would just tag HGTV.
So 2019, you get the call to be on Property Brothers. And then how did you spin it from there?
That was something cool, but that certainly didn't launch my career. I think what really launched the career is I took my media kit, and I have a background in PR and a master's in education. I sent it to HomeGoods, their PR department. I said, I'm doing this project. Would you be interested in sending me some gift cards for it? Well, from there, I only had 4,000 followers at that time. They said, we're looking for someone to kind of do some of this for us, do social media for us and handle our interviews. Would you be interested? And I said, sure, but I don't have a design degree, just so you know. And they said, well, you do really well with the PR side of it. And most of our shoppers don't have design degrees. We want the people who don't have design degrees who can come into HomeGoods and really do a lot with it. And so that's where it started for me.
So your ebook is called The 7-Figure Strategies.
7-Figure Strategies.
What do you think were your biggest challenges that you faced as you've developed the book, but also in your career in general?
I think in the early days getting started, I was definitely told I was too old because at that point there were a lot of like more girls your age who were like 25 sharing things. And I got told so many times, they didn't say I was too old. They said I wasn't their demographic, which I knew what that meant. But I actually had like the two people closest to me tell me it wasn't going to work. My husband and my dad. My husband told me that getting a website was a bad investment at the time. And I was like, no, I know I can do this. It's like, no, I can get this done. And my dad, I mean, he got very upset that I was always on the phone. And I was trying to tell him, no, Dad, these are Black Friday sales. This is what I'm trying to do. And he didn't understand social media at all. A lot of people hire people to answer their DMs and engagement, and which is great if that they're building a huge, I mean, they are huge business people. I don't want to do that because then I lose the connection. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, what was real kind of eye-opening for me in this recent meeting that I went to with the top 50 creators, I do not have nearly the millions of followers these people do. I don't have them at all. I'm like a fourth of what they have. I'm not even in the running of the amount of followers they have. But income-wise, I'm right in the middle of the pack. And that is solely, I know, because I have an amazing community and I know them and they support me and I support them through other endeavors.
What's an unexpected secret to your success?
I honestly think it's the 5 a.m. workouts.
I thought you were going to say that.
And I know it's crazy. And I know it's crazy because there is a science behind starting your day early. So my alarm clock goes off at 4:40 every day. Maybe I push snooze one time. I go to bed fairly early. Like if I can get in bed by 9:30, I'm in bed. 9:30, unless my kids have like a game or something. But if I can get up at 4:40 in the morning and take care of that piece and I keep that on a schedule, my body learns that this is part of your day. Your body will do what you ask it to do. And I ask my body to get up every morning, 4 or 5 days a week, and go work out. And it does it. And not every day is 100%. But for me, working out at 20% or 30% is better than doing nothing.
From the outside, it just seems like you have mastered like balance. I just know that's not built overnight and that doesn't just like happen one day. Like, how did you start to build this lifestyle?
Well, I think, on the outside, I think it may look that way, but on the inside, I have many meltdowns, like every mother, whether it's too many activities, whether it's, I think I'm done for the day, and now a brand is requesting a total video edit, which can take, when you see a 60-second video clip or whatever I'm doing, what you see is 3 hours of work typically. So for me to think you're done for the day and then now you're editing at a kid's soccer practice and those kinds of things, I get kind of down on myself sometimes that I feel like I have to tell my kids, I can't, mom is working. It is definitely a trial and error. And there's a lot of mom guilt in there too. Like, my kids are always, can you come to lunch with us? And I can't always go to lunch with them. So I think it really is a trial and error process of when do I feel my best? What does not work for me? How do I move that forward? So be authentically who you are.
You've been doing this for a long time. You did not just come right out the gates and say, here's my guide. How were you able to make $60K in 2 weeks off of that guide?
When I started creating that, it was basically at the request of many of my Instagram friends who were like, hey, we want to do this too, but I don't even know where to start. And so I kept sending people things and I would do we'll do this and try to do this. But I got so many requests for it. I was like, I have to do something bigger. And so I started thinking of, all right, what are all of the questions that I get asked? How do you start? What is a media kit? When you said you got to home goods, I'm trying to get into home goods, but I'm not getting any answers. How did you do that? And so I just started sharing everything, like from my actual pitch letters to my media kits to my formula of how to share. I even put in my daily schedule from my 5 a.m. workouts all the way to when I get my kids to bed so that people can see, okay, if I need to restructure my day to do this and what she does, I need to do something more like this. And so I just put together, I think it was 10 chapters, and I just shared it all. And I let people know, hey, this is what I'm doing. And if you're interested, here it is.
What's your deeper purpose behind it? Like, why is it important?
I feel like there are so many people who feel stuck or trapped, or in today's economic culture, people need more money. Things are more expensive now. And there are so many moms who want to stay home with their kids and they can't because they have to work. Or there are moms who have been home for a long time and they want to go back to work, or the empty nesters and retirees who are like, wait, I still have some things to offer the world. Don't count me out. And I think just me kind of asking them what they wanted to see and me kind of teasing this for a few months as I was making this, I think by the time that it got to people, there was enough interest there to buy it. In the first 24 hours, I think I made close to $35,000 off of it. And then it's continued to kind of trickle and have a life of its own. But I think the reason why it sold so well is because there are people who just want to do something different and they just don't know where to start.
There's so many people who are not content with like what their lives look like right now. And I mean, that's like our whole mission at Stand is like, you can actually go build a life for yourself that's so empowering to you and fulfilling, and also be a mom and be a wife or be a single woman with more freedom and time.
Right.
You can, there's so many options for you,
And then I was able to make the second book based on the success of the first. And that's now there. So now you have the first main book and then you have kind of the supplemental companion guide that I made with it. And what's great is you can start creating a library of all of your knowledge or expertise. And, people said, well, I don't know what to write on there. Recipes do really well. And I'm sure, those kinds of things, parenting children with learning differences, ADHD, mental wellness, all of those kinds of things are really important from somebody who's actually lived it.
What are like the top 3 things in there that like you would say are like the secrets in the guide?
What to post. So the content creation, the actual subject matter. The time management chapter I think is really helpful. And then I think the samples of how to pitch yourself and how to brand yourself. That's kind of the 3 biggest questions I get asked. How do I start? What do I do? What do I send? And what do I post? So those I think are the 3 most popular.
When you were thinking about making your digital guide, why Stan? Like why choose Stan?
I actually had a girlfriend who also does wellness in the area, and she made a guide and I kept seeing her promote it. And I texted her one day and I was like, hey, can you give me the rundown on how you do this and how this works? And she was like, oh, no, you just pay like a fee and they don't take anything from your book. And I was like, wow, that's really impressive because some of the other sites do. And it was so easy. It was like just uploading a file and calling it and pricing it and then hooking up my bank account. And it was like I set it up in 5 minutes.
How has it helped you streamline the monetization process?
Well, I love that I can see when the book is selling. I love that I can see how it is selling, who is purchasing it. I love that. And I love that it has opened an outlet for me to give my family something that I probably wouldn't have before. And to be honest, there was no overhead for me to do this other than my time. Like, it didn't cost me anything to sit down and write a book. I opened my Canva and just started writing using their templates, and then I sold it. And so I think that is a very attractive feature for people, in that you don't have to really buy into anything to start other than the original fee, but that's nominal compared to what you can make. I mean, my return on investment, what's the original fee? Is it
like $30 a month?
Yeah, $30, and I made 60 grand in 2 weeks. Like,
yeah,
that's a good return on your investment.
Yeah. So for someone watching this and thinking like, I have no idea where to start, what do you tell them?
What 3 things do you feel that you are good at? So for me, I'm pretty good at home design. I'm pretty good at like throwing an outfit together, and I'm good with parenting. So I share a lot of those 3 things. Think of 3 things you're really good at, and then 3 things you're not so good at, and 3 things you're passionate about, and like 20 things in your house that you can't live without. That's what you share. So you share, like, I'm very good at time management. I'm terrible at cooking, but I'll still do campaigns with brands like Marley Spoon and the Ninja air fryer, because you can monetize even what you're not good at. So I don't have a lot of time to cook meals, and if I share that, well, then brands like Ninja are like, oh, let us give you an air fryer and we'll pay you to share 10-minute recipes. And ask your best friends and your parents. They will give you the most honest answer. And so that kind of will start to guide you. And I think the 20 things you can't live without is also really helpful, because even if you are in the space, I think in the early days of Instagram, it was very much like, okay, I'm in design, I'm in fashion, I'm in this. Now I think pretty much everybody is sharing everything, because what happens is, if I'm sharing a great rug, then people want to know, well, what are those jeans that you're wearing? It happens all of the time. And so that is how I started in design, and then ended up with, I ended up in fashion and skincare and beauty and hair and all of that. So I share what I know.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Just
it's be who you are.
What do people come to your DMs for?
Yes. Right.
Okay. Well, that's all we have. So you can follow Jenny Reimold. We'll link her little right here on Instagram, and you can check out her book, 7 Figure Strategies,
on Stan Store.